What's up, guys? So what we see here is a pin of a new cross growing on a plate. Now the reason why I have the lid off and we're looking at this pin is because I can get spores off this pin and I know that they're clean versus growing a fruit out and getting a swab that way. I know that it's clean because the plate is clean and the mycelium that it's growing on and that it's made of is clean. Also, I'd like to get these spores because this is my parent culture. As you see, we have a cross. And I've already taken earlier pins that have grown and I've cloned them and I'm growing them out. This is a diamond cross, so that's a Buller phenomenon. On the this side, you see the haploid, the monokaryotic culture, and on the right side, you see the dikaryotic culture. Right about at the border, but more on the monokaryotic side, you see it's fruiting more. So that tells me that it has clamped and that it's mated, because the culture on the left that was not viable is now viable and producing offspring. Pretty cool, right? Now, until I hatch these spores, it will remain the parent culture and I will not know what phenotypes are encoded in the DNA from the actual mating. So I go to the F1, and that's where you actually find most of your diversity within the genetics, is the first generation after the genetic information shared and offspring is created. So this is how I collect swabs from said plate pin. I'm just going to heat up these tweezers. Cool down these tweezers. These tweezers, yeah. Anyways, come here, make sure I can turn this sucker over right there. Ooh yeah, get her turned over. There she is. Now, making sure my hands are clean. Always practice good habits in front of your flow hood, people. Sterile tech, alright? We need to remain clean. If I stick my hand behind me and I scratch the back of my head and then I reach it forward and somehow my hand lands in front of a plate that's turned towards my hand and we're dealing in microbes, it's probably going to leave some germs and some nasty stuff right there on that plate. And you know, if it's fully colonized, you might not even notice. You could transfer it out onto a new plate, and because that mold spore, say, is still stuck to the mycelium, that mycelium could grow out again on an entire plate, and you think that that culture is clean, and let's say you transfer it out again, and you continually are taking that mold spore that's just chilling on the mycelium, waiting for it to get old and die so that it can take over and do its thing. But it never gets the chance because you're keeping that mycelium young and healthy until you throw that piece of agar to grain, and now you've knocked that mold spore off of the mycelium and it's on grain, and now you have contamination and you can't figure out how the hell you had contamination because you were so clean. There's more to it than just, oh, my agar was clean so it must have been clean. No, that's not the case. If the mold spore was to land on agar before it landed on mycelium, that could be the case. Chances are If you're dealing with a plate that's fully colonized, what are the chances of mold spores going to land on a piece of agar versus a piece of mycelium? Probably pretty low if you look at this plate, right? So that's something that people should think about. I don't think many people do, but it is real, and it probably causes a lot of people a lot of heartache. Anyways, that's not even the point of this video. I was just showing y'all what I like to do. Now, I'm not going to try to get, this is obviously going to take tissue from the mushroom. I'm going to try to get as little as possible, because you could just end up cloning it rather than actually popping any spores. But there's a way we can go about this that ensures when we do germinate it, it's only the spores that you see. And I'll show you. You definitely see the spores. There's a lot of spores in that little mushroom too. Do it again. Now, I'm not rubbing it and grinding anything off. I'm basically like it's a tire rolling over, just rolling down the road, smashing up what it can get while it can get it, right? Turn it around this way. I can see them little spores on there. That's pretty cool. And I do believe I already got spores from one of them, but I believe that that was a dikaryotic crossing. So this is a dimon crossing. I also have a mon crossing of the same two, and then I have the same two that I put through a process that's it's not the dikaryoticization where you actually break the dikaryon to create more monokaryons. It's actually growing monokaryons from the dikaryon. So you put the dikaryon into a position where the new growth that it has through mitosis, through cellular division, right? They aren't clamping. They're being born unclamped. And so you're growing a bunch of monokaryons of the same culture. It's just copied. So if there's two monokaryons that make a dikaryon, right? Follow me? And it's reproducing. It's only reproducing two monokaryons over and over again, if you can get them to grow without clamping. Anyways, that's probably another subject. I don't think many people understand or even know that that exists, but it's a very easy process. It's a very easy way to make strains. In fact, a fucking monkey could do it. It's much easier than doing spores and buller phenomenon like this, but this is still good. I like to do it all just to get variety. Anyways, that's that, guys. So what I'm going to do to make sure that I don't have any tissue that survives on that is after I get this all cleaned up, I'm going to take these, after I'm done working tonight, I'm going to take these swabs out of this packet, and I'm going to set them right here next to the flow hood and let them run all night and then all morning tomorrow, so that if there is any fruit tissue that's on there, that it dries up and it dies, and it's only left with spores that are very viable. And then I'm going to put it in this packet, and I'm going to let it sit for probably a week or two, just to make sure there's no moisture on there keeping it alive. Anybody who tries to tell you that your mycelium can live through that, you know, that's true. You're like, say you dry a fruit, but you're able to clone still a piece out of the middle. That's because the middle wasn't completely dry. You completely dry out your mycelium, especially without a food source. I know that there is some patented technology where you can actually dehydrate a substrate and then give it water and bring it back to life. But there's some method to that. As far as bringing back mycelium that you just leave out and let dry, it's like us, like it dies. If the cells get too dry for too long, they die. Okay? So anyways, with that said, then I will take one of these swabs and throw it to agar and grow out my F1, and it's easy peasy, baby. Hell yeah, guys. Much love.